in order to complete this scenario, our heroes have to get through that door and out the windows. But the door is locked. So they could just stand around here and wait for it to open up or complain about their circumstances, or they could turn around, charge forward, figure out a way to get that door unlocked. Sometimes in our lives, feel like doors are locked, there's no way through, and we're tempted just to complain about how things are, but I think it's best if we turn around, find a solution to get the doors opened up, provide new opportunities for us. This is Gloomhaven. 6 things I love about this game, and 6 things I don't love so much. What you're seeing here are the Hearst Arts molds, and I really like these. They add a lot of immersion to the game. They're a little bit bigger than the map tiles. So they take up a little bit more space, and they took a long time to put together. You had to cast all these individually, glue them all together, and then get them all painted up, and it took a long time. Was it worth it? I don't know. Maybe. And again, they're pretty heavy too, so I have these storage boxes over here that I keep them in. There's the regular map tiles on top of there, and so I got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these things full of these map tiles in order to put this game together. So it was quite the undertaking to put this together, but it's been a lot of fun playing with it. We don't always use these just because it's such a pain to get them out. But I thought I'd set it up today for this scenario just to give you a look at these here. Got some outdoor tiles here with some dirt and grass in them, and little castles and walls to surround these rooms here. This scenario is pretty big, and so there's not enough walls to fit around the entire thing. So I just kind of left the outdoor areas kind of open here, so it looks like you're going outside. But some of the smaller scenarios, you can fit the walls around the entire thing. And you can see here how these things will just come apart here. Just take these off like that, and then this just comes off too. And you can organize them however you need to in order to get the scenario put together. And then there's little pillars like this that will just fit into here. Pretty cool, but a long time to make and really heavy. Now, with that said, we are just about to finish Gloomhaven, and we've been doing this probably for a couple of years now. What we've been using to track our progress is this free PDF from Sinister Fish that makes the removable stickers. We just printed this out, and we've been recording our progress on this. And what we did that we found really helpful is as we completed a scenario, the first checkbox here shows where you've unlocked the scenario. The second one shows where you've completed it. We just wrote right next to here what scenarios were given to us by completing this scenario. And that way, if we forgot which scenario granted us the new scenario, we could go back and look and say, oh, we got it from this one here. If there was ever a case where we could not complete a scenario anymore, like the diamond mine here, we'd put a dash because of some game mechanic allowed us not to do that one anymore. I'm gonna try really hard not to spoil anything here. I hope I haven't already. And because I want you to find out the coolness of this game on your own, but a whole lot to explore here. And you also see here, these are obviously not the characters we're using right now. I just stuck these in here so I wouldn't spoil what the current characters we're working with right now. But let's jump in here. I'm gonna start actually with the things that I don't like about this game, because I kind of want to end on a positive note, because I do like the game, and I think it's a lot of fun, but it's not a perfect game. There's things about it that really bother me and my son that play it most often. Every now and again we'll get another family member to jump in, but not a perfect game. And the biggest thing is that you'll see right away is number one, is this game is an incredible table hog. This is a 6-foot folding table here, and this game takes up every bit of it. Now, I will say that, again, this is a very large scenario, and the Hearst Arts molds here are a little bit bigger, so they take up a little bit more room. If I were to set this up with the map tiles, it would be a little bit smaller than this. So, but still, it takes up a lot of room. This is only 3 characters as well. If you had a 4th character, you'd have to squeeze them in here somewhere on the table and still have access to the board here to play the game. So table hog, and along with that comes an incredible setup. And I know that people say they've come up with modes and methods to set up quicker, but it just takes a long time to set this game up. Especially again, if you're using these molds, because you got to put the walls all the way around each one of the rooms here, and that takes time to fit all those in and find the right sizes. So that takes a little bit too. So the game takes a long time to set up, and one of the biggest gripes I have with the setup of this game is the quantity of enemies. Now, this scenario only has 3, so that's not too bad. I think we've played scenarios with as high as 6 different enemies. And so when you have 6 cards across here and their attack decks and the attack modifier decks, and well, there's just one for the enemies, and all the standees, there's just a whole bunch of stuff to set up here and to manage and to keep track of whose turn it is. I really wish that most of the scenarios would have a maximum of 3, 1 to 3 enemies. Maybe like the final scenario or something would have 4, but when they have 6 enemies, that's a lot to keep track of, and it becomes very cumbersome. So that's number 1, the table hog, the setup, and in particular the enemies. But again, you can't have a game that's this immersive and not have a lot of components to get out. That's just the way it is when you have a game like this that you're diving right into. And then, by the way, if you've never played Gloomhaven before, it's kind of like a dungeon crawling / RPG / adventure game. I don't know if it fits any of those exactly, but it kind of falls into that genre where you take the role of mercenaries and you're going out trying to complete these scenarios and get loot and treasure and weapons and increase the skill and abilities of your character. The second thing that drives me crazy about this game is the need for an organizer. I wonder what they thought when they made this game on how people were going to get this stuff all back in the box without having without having these organizers. Now, I started this game with the organizer, so I've never played it without the organizer. So this is most of the stuff we need to play here. A few of the other components are down here in the box that we don't use once the game's all set up. We put back down in there. But we have these organizers out for the cards, for the tokens, for the conditions, all these things. And actually this organizer was supposed to be 3 separate organizers, and we found that to be too cumbersome, and so we glued them all together. So it's just one piece now. But I just think it's crazy how you make a game and just think they're just going to throw it all back in the box in Ziploc bags or something like that. That would never work for this game. You have to have the organizer. On top of that, we bought these from a recent Kickstarter from LaserOx, which are these player dashboards, and there was a whole lot more you could get with these, but I just got what I thought was essential, which was the base player board here that has your card and holds your tokens, and then over here your attack modifier deck. Any loot tokens can go in here, and then over here you have your items, your battle goal. And as you use your items, you can just take these and turn them sideways like that, and they fit right back down into there. So these we found pretty useful. It saves a little bit of table space, not very much. It's kind of cool because you have a spot here for your hand of cards. As you use your cards, you put them over here in the discard, and then as you lose your cards, they'll go over here in the lost pile. And so because you're sticking your cards underneath your board rather than beside it, it gets you saves you a little bit more space there. So these came in handy. We've used these a couple of times, but again, now we have these things that we got to put somewhere. And so by the time you buy these and buy the organizers, I think it's like $200 more just to get this game organized to where it's manageable. So another big gripe I have with the game is, but again, a game with this many components that's this immersive, I don't know how you would do that. I know there are other games that make plastic inserts inside their boxes so that you can put it all back in there, and I wish they would have done something like that with this game just to save us from spending a fortune on buying things to organize the game. So that's number 2, the need for an organizer. It just really drives me crazy about this game. The third thing that I don't like about it are the unrealistic game mechanics. And I have a couple of things about that. Number 1 is the items that you use for the game. Now, you can get these various items as you're playing that give you various effects. Most of the time, it's something you will use one time during a scenario. It can be refreshed later on. And it just, again, I understand it for game balance because they can't just let you use a potion infinitely. But I think it's weird how you use a potion and then the next scenario you get it again. Or you have a weapon that you get, and I really wish a weapon would grant you some kind of permanent ability, but all the weapons do is just give you some kind of one-time effect or something like that that you can use. And so that's kind of not really RPG, not really the RPG genre there, because usually in an RPG, if you get a weapon, you keep that weapon and you use it to your heart's content. And so the weapons and items is a little bit goofy the way you kind of use them and then they get refreshed for the next scenario. But again, I understand for balance and game mechanics, they did that to make the game work, not to make it completely realistic. The other thing that, man, just really bothers me about unrealistic game mechanics is the looting. So at the end of the game, you are not allowed to take any loot that you have not looted by a loot action. So say we do get this door opened up and there's all this money hanging out right here. And this guy's like, well, the quest is complete and I would like to pick that money up, but I'm not going to because I'm not allowed to by the game. And he just wanders off the board. It just drives me crazy how you finish and there's money all over the board and you want to pick it up, but the game mechanics say you can't do that because you have to leave everything behind. Again, I understand they do that probably for balance reasons in the game, but I just hate leaving all that money behind. I wish I could just pick it up. And in an RPG, you'd be able to do that. You'd have the option to do that. But again, for balance, they don't allow you to do that. But it just drives me crazy to leave all that money behind and just leave the map. The fourth thing that I don't like about the game is, again, understandable for game mechanics, is the losing of the cards. So every now and again, as you are playing the game, you will lose cards based off of using a powerful ability, or you run out of cards and they go to your discard pile and you'll have to shuffle through them and lose a random card to refresh the rest of the cards. And I find myself getting really stressed out that I'm getting thin on cards, or should I use the powerful ability to lose this card? I'm not sure. The Spellweaver's nice because you can get them back at some point in the game for one time. But losing the cards, and again, I understand the sense of urgency. They want you to hustle through the game and not just kind of be messing around in the dungeon, that they want you to get in and get out. But losing the cards drives me crazy because I'm always just agonizing over whether I should lose a card or not, or save it for later. And you get to the very end of the scenario and you're about to win and you run out of cards, and then you got to start it over, which is also a little bit troublesome. If you lose the scenario, you just start back from the beginning. There's no, well, now that you lost this, you're going to branch off to this other part in the story. You don't do that. The fifth thing that I don't like about the game is I really like the leveling up and you getting a new ability card. I think that's great. I kind of wish that the ability cards would be like the ones you currently have, but a little bit better. I find a lot of times, sometimes that does happen, but a lot of times I open up the 2 new ability cards that I can choose as I level up, and I don't like either of them. And I realize that you can go back to lower levels and take one of those cards, but I wish that all of the higher level cards became more and more and more powerful. I find myself opening them up and thinking, wait, this is completely different, and how am I going to fit this into this character? Where you have kind of a quick character like this here, and you might end up with a looting card or something else, which I understand allows you to customize the character a little bit more, because if there's a scenario that demands looting, you can put that card in. But I just wish the ability cards were just an upgrade to what you already had. And so you got excited every level up, which I do anyway, but every level up you got excited because you knew you were going to get something that was going to really upgrade this deck of cards and make your character a lot more powerful. The sixth thing that I don't like about this game that's kind of not a really big deal because we just changed the rule because it drove us crazy, was the fact that you cannot control your own summons. I just find that really weird. And so there are some characters in the game, again, hopefully I'm not spoiling anything for you, that they're able to summon allies to help them out. And so the summons show up on the board, and the summons are supposed to operate just like these enemies. they're supposed to just find the nearest enemy and zero in on him and attack him. And I find a lot of times the summon is not doing what I want him to do. So eventually we just changed that rule and we said, you know what? It's my summon. I'm going to tell him what to do. If I want the summon to attack this guy over here in the corner so I can go grab the treasure chest, I'm going to do it. So an easy fix for that, we just changed the rule. Maybe some of you guys out there might think, you can't do that. You can't change the rules to the game. But we found we had more fun when we did that. So now that the bad things are out of the way, let's get to the good things, because I really do like this game. I know there's a lot of people that either love this game or hate it. I'm one of the ones that just really adores the game, and this is one of the games that really got me into gaming and dungeon crawling and role-playing games when I played this game. I just didn't realize there was anything out there like this. And when I was looking for a good adventure game, this game kept coming up over and over and over again on people's lists, so I thought I'd check it out. We started out with Jaws of the Lion, which we finished, and then we moved into this game, and we've really enjoyed it. Again, we have a few scenarios left. I think we have 4 that are unlocked, and we're right up to the end of the game. And you can see down here too, with the characters here, we've unlocked about every character except for these 2. We flipped the box the other way, so we know who's available to us. These are the last 2 characters, and we have a couple guys about to retire. Again, that are not on the board here. We took them off to not spoil those characters for you. When they retire, we'll unlock the last 2 characters, and we'll have them all unlocked. We're super excited for that. But the things that I do like about the game, number 1, I absolutely love these event cards. Are so cool. And rather than just going off and jumping into a dungeon here, they give you a little bit of flavor being in the town and then on the road, kind of what's happening to you here. And you can see here again, for how far we are through the game, this is our current deck here that we have available to us. These are cards that are not in the deck that we could put in there at some point. These are ones that have been burned that basically told us to not put back in the deck once we resolve them. And so I think it's crazy how there's probably 25 or more cards here after almost finishing the game that are still not even in here, that we haven't even accessed, that we don't even know what's in there. And so I love these event cards. It adds just a little bit more flavor to the game. Rather than just showing up in a dungeon, you have these events to resolve. And a lot of times I feel like they're bad. I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like most of the time they're bad. And you feel like you're making the right choice, something bad happens to you anyway. But it just makes it more fun. Drives my son crazy, but I just tell him, hey, we can't win everything. We got to lose sometime or have something bad happen to us sometimes. That's what makes the game fun. So I absolutely love those event cards as number 1. The second thing is the sense of discovery for this game. I haven't found in any other game. There's a lot of games I haven't played yet, and maybe you guys can put something in the comments. Hey, you want some discovery? Check this game out. Please tell me. Because that is one thing I just love about this game, is a sense of discovery. And so if you guys have some suggestions about that, I would love to hear about that. Between the town records, and if you don't know what that is, that's something to look at. There's a mystery in there. The puzzles that come up in the game. The event cards that we just talked about. The ability cards, how when you level up, you get new ability cards to add to your deck and some to take out, which, again, I wish they were the same cards but better, but that's not the case. But discovering what new ability cards you're going to get. Discovering what new cards you're going to add to your attack deck. So many things to discover. Retiring your characters. Once you complete the character's personal quest, you can retire the character and open a brand new one. And there's been a lot of times we've opened up the box and thought, whoa, man, this guy's going to be awesome. And we're super stoked to play the new character. There's been other characters we've opened up and thought, this one's interesting. And we kind of made it a rule, not hard and fast, but we made a rule that once you retired and opened up a new character, you had to play that one. And so my son had to play a character that he was not very happy about. That did not fit his personality, but it was a lot of fun to see him play a character that he wouldn't normally play in real life. So this sense of discovery and all these sealed envelopes you get to open up and read new things and learn new things about the game is just incredible. We just absolutely love that. The third thing that I like about the game is I feel like it scales really, really well. We have my older daughter used to play with us. We kind of try to get her down here every now and again to play again. But the nice thing is we can just drop her out and the map shows you exactly how many characters to put on the board. This is a setup for 2 characters, I think. We have 3 characters out, but I think we set it up for 2 characters. And so you can see the monster difficulty levels. The yellow ones are the elite ones. The white ones are the basic ones. Those monsters get more powerful. They become more of them become elite, and there become more monsters out there. The higher the player count. So it's really easy to scale it with player counts. If one person drops in, or another person drops out, you can easily adjust the player count. Also, I like how you can adjust the scenario difficulty level very easily by just changing the monster's level from 1 to 2 to 3. And we were playing for a long time at the recommended difficulty level until we came to a scenario that we did not want to lose, like a big one like this. You can see here we have the monsters set on level 1, and I think most of our characters are level 3 or 4. So we should be playing on level 2, but this is a large scenario that's going to take some time that we don't want to lose. So we set it to an easy difficulty level, which is not going to give us as much experience points or gold rewards, but at least we'll complete the scenario. We won't have to go back and do it again. So I love that you can scale it easily for player count. You can scale it easily for difficulty. If you want to make it more difficult or easier, you can easily do that. And I feel like it works really, really well. So the scaling element is just great in it. And speaking of elements, I love, as the fourth thing, I love this element board here. This is not something you see come up in a lot of games where you'll use a certain ability that will infuse an element into the battlefield, and you're able to use that element on your next turn, or another player can use that element to have some kind of effect with your attack ability or movement or something else. You can use those elements. It just adds one more item or one more thing that you can do in the game besides just whacking people with your sword. And speaking of elements, and one more element to add to the game, the fifth thing that I really like is the tactical combat. I feel like is just great. And combat maybe is not the right word, because your ability cards grant you so many actions between movement and looting and jumping over guys and fighting guys and attacking up close and attacking far away. And so there's so many different things you can do in the game. On top of that, you have the battle goals that you're trying to achieve, because you know if you achieve the battle goals, you can help beef up your attack deck a little bit if those things are achieved. So I think the tactical combat is just great. Again, it's not perfect. I also really like that there's no dice rolls. There's not very many games out there that aren't dice rolling games. I do like rolling dice on a dice rolling game, but it's nice to put the dice away and know that I'm probably going to hit this guy. Most likely I'm going to do some damage when I attack, which leads us to the sixth thing, which I think is the most genius idea I've ever seen, are these attack modifier decks. I think they're just great, because you know if you do an attack 4, you're going to hit for 4 plus or minus a little bit. Hopefully you turn over the +1 and you don't get the -2 over here that the Spellweaver's got showing on her deck here. But I just think it's great, and the surprise factor when you flip these over. And not only that, but as you upgrade your character and you improve their abilities, these get better too. As they level up, this can get better. As you achieve your battle goals, you're able to add check marks that help you get this deck even better. And so not only getting more powerful by grabbing more ability cards, better ability cards, more items, but your attack deck's getting better too. And so you just know the higher the level your character gets, the more powerful they're going to be on the battlefield. And I just love that. I love that element where at first you think there's a lot of minuses in here, but as you get better and better, you're almost sure every card you turn over is going to be a plus or some kind of benefit. And so I think that's just great if you don't draw the miss, which as far as I've seen, you cannot remove from your deck in any way. So the miss is kind of a bummer. My son and I played a scenario the other night. Both of our first card turnover was a miss, both of us. And we were about ready to start the scenario over, but we made it through. So that can happen, but there's also the critical hit in there that does double damage. So just a super exciting element to flip these cards over and see what kind of benefit you're going to get to your attack, which I think is just one of the most genius ideas that I've ever seen. So those are the 6 things I like and the 6 things I don't like about this game. Again, we're really close to completing it. Super excited to finish up. We also have the Forgotten Circles expansion, and we have the Frosthaven, the new game that just came out. I don't know if we're going to dive into either of those two, because we have so many campaign games that we're ready to jump into. Maybe you've kind of seen in the frame here, we got ISS Vanguard hanging out over here, which we did a video about the other day. That looks pretty exciting. We want to jump into that. We have several other campaign games that we're looking at. So maybe we'll give the Havens a little break here for a little bit. But those are the things. If you have any comments or suggestions, please drop them down and respond to them, especially if you have any games that have a lot of discovery in them. Let me know about those. Anyway, you guys take care. And remember, if a door's locked, if you can't find a way out, don't just stand there and complain about your circumstances. Turn around, dive into the dungeon, and see what you can do to get that door unlocked and get you on your way. You guys take care.